This week we're going to make a game where a car needs to arrive at a specific location. And there's going to be obstacles along the way. So I will show you an example how to do this, and you can create your own game. And you could take these ideas and the code and make your own design. But I will show you a basic way to set the game up. So I'll take the cat out of the way, and the first thing I want to do is I want to make a background. So you want to look for something that relates to a city. So maybe if you go to outdoors, you'll have some city scenes, okay? So maybe I have a night city over here. That could work. I'll see if there's anything else I can use. So I'll decide to use a city scene. So I'll use this one over here. Night in the city. And if you want to, you could paint in lines over here. So you don't have to do this, but if you went over here, you went to backdrop and you just did lines over here. You don't have to do this, but you could make if you want to make like a road, you could make down here like a little line. Oh, sorry, let me do that again. You make a little line over here, almost like a road. Okay, so now you got your little design over here, and that's our backdrop. And now you could add in a car. So let's add in some cars. So I could go over here and I could put a car. And we got convertible, food truck. So I'm going to add in convertible too. And you could add whichever ones you want. And I'm going to add in a bus. Okay, so now I have a bus and I have a car. And now I want to add in a rock. And I'll show you what we're going to be doing with the rock later. And I want to add in a building. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to resize these things, okay? So because they're too big for the screen. So you see it says size 100. I could make them this. Maybe I'll make everything 50. Okay, so I'll put the building here. And I'm going to make the bus. I click on the bus. And maybe I'll make that instead of 150. Let's see how that works. Maybe I even make it smaller, 40 maybe. Okay, then I'll click on this car over here. I'll make that 40. Okay, so maybe make it 50. It's a little too small. It's up to you, but I like it. I feel like a little bigger. Okay, so now I got a bus and I got a car. Okay, and now I have a rock over here. And maybe I want to make that rock. Maybe I'll make it 80. Okay, so you could add different things in here. I'm just going to give you an example. So what we want to do is we want to make it that if the car touches these other things, it's going to say, hey, watch out. Okay, and we also want to make it that if the car touches the building, it says you win. And what we're going to do is first we're going to click on the car over here, the convertible I should say, and we need to make the controls for the car. So that's going to be an event. And we did something similar like this in code.org. So this is going to be an event when, and now it has when the space bar is clicked, but we'll do when the up's pressed. When the up arrow's pressed, when the down arrow's pressed, and you're getting the idea. When the right arrow's pressed, and the left arrow's pressed. Okay? So we did this in code.org as well. What do you want to happen when those things are pressed? Well, I'm going to go to motion, and I'm going to go to motion. I'm going to say point in direction. And I'm going to take this and I'm going to make it go up. So I want to go in the up direction and I want to move 10 steps. What I want to do with the down, I want to point in direction. Here's point in direction. And I'm going to always make sure you make the arrow go where you want it to be. 180, which is down. I'll move 10 steps. When the right arrow is pressed, I'm going to point in direction. Make the arrow point to the right, and I move 10 steps. And now on the left. When the left arrow is pressed, I'm going to point in direction, point to the left, negative 90, okay? And then I'm going to move 10 steps. So if it says point in direction 0, that gets you to the top. It goes up, and you're going to move towards the up direction. If you make it 180, it goes down. If you go to the right, it goes. If you point in direction 90, it goes to the right, and point in direction negative 90 goes to the left. So now, when I click my arrows, the car will go. Okay, now if you don't like the way that's flipping like that, what you could do for the left and you could do it for the left and right. If you don't want that car flipping like that, it's up to you. What you could do is you could do change change X instead. So if you don't want the car to flip like that, you could change it and use change X by 10. But we won't do that one today, but I just wanted to mention that. You could always use, for the right, change X by 10 and change X by -10, and that will change the way it looks, but it will make it look like it's going backwards. Anyway, so now you have your car moving like this, and we have our car can go up, and it can go this way, and all the things like that. Okay, so now we got our car going. Next thing we have to do is we want to make some obstacles for the game. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to make it that if the car touches the rock, so we're going to touch the rock here, we're going to say events when clicked, control forever. This is our forever loop. We're going to do an if then. Okay, so we want to say if, this is a conditional if then. So we're going to say if, and we go to sensing, if touching, if the rock is touching the car, which the car is called the convertible, okay, if the car is touching the convertible, we want to say, watch out. Okay. Okay, and that's going to be forever. So now, when I click play, when the car touches the rock, it says, watch out. Okay. Okay, so now you got that. And now we want in the building, we want to say events when clicked, for control forever, and if then, same thing. If then, what do we want the if then to be? If touching, if it's touching what? If the car is touching the building, okay, I'm sorry, if the building is touching the convertible, what should we do? It should say, it could say, you arrived. You arrived. And if you want to add sound to this, you can go to sound. You go to sounds, and maybe if there's a celebration, maybe let's see if there's celebrate. Yeah, you could put a dance celebration in there, and now you could say play dance celebration. So now, when the car touches the little building, okay, so now you have that. So this is the basics of a game here. Now, what else could you do? Well, what else you could do is you could make this bus an obstacle. Okay, so now we want to make this bus an obstacle. And this is going to be, what we want this bus is to go vroom, vroom, vroom. We want it to go all across. So here's how we're going to make that bus go across. Event, when clicked, when we start the game, we want the bus to go to, motion, go to. Where do we want it to go to? We want it to go all the way over here. So that's 214, negative 84. Okay, so we'll say 214, negative 84. So now whenever I take the bus, if I click the flag, he goes right there to the spot. Actually, I'll move him up just a little bit because I have that line there. I'll make this negative 72. Now, what do I want to do? I want the bus to forever go across the screen, right? I want the bus to look like it's driving across the screen. So what I'm going to do is go control, and that's a forever loop. Forever loop. And what's he going to do? He's going to motion, and he's going to glide 1 second to, we want him to glide to maybe over here, which is 206, negative 72. So we'll make that 206, 72. So now we click here, and then the car goes across, negative 206. Negative 206. This was negative 2. Now he goes across the screen. So far that's looking pretty good, but we want him to go back to here then. So then we're going to say go to. We want him to go back to this part again. So now you see, we put that number here. Now look what he does. Now it looks like he's going across the screen constantly. Okay. Now you could change this number to make it slower. Like let's say I made this 3 seconds. Now he goes slow. Okay, or I can make this, 2 seconds, okay? And then now you have an interesting game here, okay? And then when you click your flag, let me click our flag. Now I have my car And the problem we have now, though, we have the basics of a game, but you can't have a car hitting him like this. We don't want that, right? We want something to happen when he hits that car. So let's put that in there. Now we're going to go to event when clicked, control forever, if then. So this is our if then conditional, right? If then. And then we go to our sensing, if touching, and we put that right in. If touching the convertible 2, which is the car, what do you want to do? Maybe you want to say, watch out. We're going to say, watch out. Or maybe you say, be careful. Be careful. And maybe you want to add a sound in there. Let's see if we could add a sound in there. We could add a vroom sound. We could do that if you want. So let's look at this. So, be careful. We could add that if you want. Okay, now you got your sound going. And then if you don't like that sound, you can go to sound, and then you could choose something from here, and you could add one of these sounds in here. So now you have the basics of a game. So let's take a look. When we start our game, let me go back to code. When we start our game, we have our car like this, and we have our arrows controlling our car. And now what I have to do is I have to get to the building, okay? And if the bus hits me, it says be careful, and it makes a sound. And if I can get to this part over here, it says you arrived. Now the other thing you can do is, and we're going to talk about this more later on, you could make things happen if it touches the bus. So I could say, later we'll do this in 5th grade, but I just mentioned this for people more advanced. You could do things that if the car touches the bus, send the car right back to the beginning. That's going to be a go-to, but we'll talk about that later on. But that doesn't have to happen for our session. But here's what I'd like you to do. I would like the children to make a game like this that has conditionals and that where you can use events. So these arrows are events, right? Like when the up arrow is pressed, when the down arrow is pressed, those are events. So I'd like you to make a game with those events to make the car be controlled, and then I would like a conditional that if the bus touches the car, it says makes noise, sound, or says watch out or something like that, and then when you get to the end, it says you win. So you could add a lot of things to your game. You could add many things going across your screen. You could add more sound. I'd like you to add your own ideas, but this is the basics of how to do, a car game, just the basics where you have the controls of the arrows and also some conditionals involved as well.